Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. We are in Katha Upanishad, first part, third chapter, and this is more about sadhana. And here we have seen how the Lord of Death first told when Nachiket asked, how do I come to know that reality? How do I come to know that Parabrahma, Paramatma, that Brahman? Whenever someone asks that question, it is a presupposition that that person is looking for that which is the most subjective objectively. And diagnosing the preparation, the approach, only from the approach the teacher can come to know intuitively also. And then he told him about the Om. And now in this, which verse we are in? We were in the 9th verse, and here in this 9th verse, it was told what happens to those people who contemplate on that. It was also told that Om, when it is chanted, with whatever your intention is, if your attention while chanting Om is on the world, you will be master of the world. If your attention while chanting Om is on God, you will be one with God. And if your attention while chanting Om is on that formless, attributeless reality, that will be you will merge with that, you will realize that, or it will reveal itself to you. To that, the question is, where is our attention? Om being the all-pervasive reality, Om being the first, is the natural sound of the creation, and out of that Om alone the whole creation has come, manifest and unmanifest, and so on. It goes on. And now here in the 10th verse we were seeing that in the 8th verse it was told, Yah tu vijnanavan bhavati samanaska sada shuchihi satu tat padam apnoti yasmad bhuyo na jayate. And there it was told, he whose senses are controlled. I am fast forwarding to the present topic. And it was told, he whose senses are controlled and whose intellect is purified, such a person does not come back. And it was, the previous verse was about the avijnanavan bhavati manaska sadashucheto. So that was the 7th verse. So here that a person who has invoked his discrimination and has brought that principle, or has kept that ideal as the charioteer. Remember, we are looking at the chariot. Chariot has 5 horses, reins, the seat of the charioteer, the chariot itself, and the owner of the chariot, the master of the chariot. The master of the chariot is the soul or the jivatma, the individual. The body of the chariot is this body. The charioteer is the intellect. The reins, which are tethered to the horses on one end, and in the hand of the charioteer, those reins is the mind, and the horses are the senses. And the path on which the horses tread or go, they are the objects of experience for the 5 senses. And it was told that how do we control these 5 senses? It will be told even further, but there it was told that Vijnanavan is a person who has invoked his discrimination, who has purified his intellect. And how does he purify the intellect? By submitting it to the divine, by submitting it to the Om, by submitting it to the contemplating on the infinite reality. And as a result, is our attention on many, that there are many roads to follow in life. This road is going Grahasthashram, this road is going Sannyasashram, that road is going to Yoga Ashram, that road is going to Kundalini Ashram, that road is going to Bhakti Ashram. So which ashram you want to go? Do I see, hear, touch, feel, taste? What do I do? Which one do I follow? What is am I cut out for? And in this way, so for the senses, there are many roads. For the eyes, there are many colors to follow. For the ears, there are many sounds to follow. For nose, there are many smells to follow. For the tongue, there are many tastes to follow. See, but if we are, but that is at the sensory level, you see. When we come to the intellect, we don't live at the sensory level. Then what is the road which the intellect follows? Which intellect? Vijnanavan bhavati. Samanaska sadashuchihi. Meaning a purified intellect follows which path? Does it follow all these various paths? It follows the path of purity. It follows the path of discrimination. Wherever there is purity of the intellect, of the intention or attention, it will lead to discrimination. See? And that will come about how? Then, yes, we are not here talking about as long as we are. Last week, I remember I concluded with this thought that as long as we are an individual, as long as we think we are the body, as long as we think we are born in this world and we have to do something in this world, not only I said, but our Yamraj also said, the maximum you can reach as a doer, as a contemplator, as a thinker, as a discriminator, there is always a feeling that I have to merge. I merge into sleep. I fully get involved in the work that I do. Then I get involved in the yoga if my attention is on body. If my attention is on breath, I involve completely into pranayam. If my attention is on the mind, I completely get involved in the japa. But if my attention is on the intellect, I get completely involved in the Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is the total soul. The Hiranyagarbha is the first manifestation of that infinite. See? So that is the maximum you can reach in the relative existence. call it God, call it divine, call it Ishvara, you call that God as Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, this, that, it does not matter. But that's the maximum you can reach. That is the maximum, the greatest on which you can contemplate. Because what is Hiranyagarbha? It is the cause of everything. What is Hiranyagarbha? Just like in deep sleep, the waking and the dream both are in the causal state, unmanifest state. Just like in a passion fruit, so many seeds are there inside the passion fruit, but none of them have manifested into the tree. But that possibility is there, which has not become manifest yet. Hiranyagarbha is such place, such one, where all possibilities are there. What possibilities? Possibilities of all the variety, whatever you can name. See? So, when we are at the sensory level, the roads, the paths are many. But when we are at the intellect level, yastu vijnanavan bhavati samanaska sadashuchihi satu tat padam apnoti yasmad bhuyo na jayate. And when we invoke this intelligence, when we invoke this discrimination, living at the intellect level does not mean discriminate between the world. Should I eat the soup or should I eat the Chinese or Indian? That is not discrimination. Living at the intelligence level or intellectual level is not, am I focused on the body or am I focused on the thoughts? We are not on that also. Invoking the intelligence means between the total, here if you want to think, on the total and the individual. The individual is thinking of the all-inclusive principle, which is Hiranyagarbha. If he is addicted to form, then Hiranyagarbha. You can think of Parabrahma, Paramatma also, nothing wrong. See? Then we are truly invoking the intellect. When we invoke that intellect, then automatically the horses come under control. They don't graze in different paths. Automatically the mind becomes stout, keeps the horses in check. To keep the horses in check and the reins which are being pulled by the horses again and again. That is what the horses do. They jump, they what do the horses do? They neigh, they stand up on two legs. So all the 5 horses, so 10 reins are coming into the hand. If the horses are powerful and the charioteer is not powerful, there will be a crash. So how do you develop the strength of the charioteer, meaning the intellect? Only by turning the attention of invoking the intelligence to contemplate on the divine theme. That is the only way. By thinking about the world, we can become little bit stronger, okay, but it will not lead to consummation. It will not lead to immortality. It will not lead to realization, self-realization. Now, the earlier this clicks in a seeker, the better. नहीं तो लगे रहो मुन्ना भाई, keep looking at the senses. What is for today? What are we going to do? What shopping we are going to do tomorrow? What day after tomorrow? What we are going to do? Planning is going on. What about contemplating on the on the divine theme? When are we going to take time out for that? So here we are talking about in the 8th verse, yastu vijnanavan bhavati, those who are intelligent, those who have invoked their intelligence, those who are uh, 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 at the intellectual level, samanaska sadashuchi. And remember, understand, what is this intellect? We are talking about the mana buddhi chitta ahankar, the inner equipment. Sadashuchi, they keep every moment of their existence, such as seekers, every moment of their existence is towards purification. Every passing experience, event, interaction is being converted into an opportunity to contemplate on the divinity. Such is the disposition of this Vijnanavan. See how beautiful. And when that happens, then all the horses, they will, even though they are, the 5 senses each have their own field of engagement, and they can easily, if they are powerful, they can easily topple the chariot. But when the charioteer is strong, then all the 5 senses move in unison towards the set goal, toward the set destination. And last week we were telling you, when you are seeing some horse racing or even a good charioteer nowadays, or a good driver for that matter, car driver, it's as if the driver and the car have become one. It's as if the rider and the horse have become one. Similarly, it's as if the intellect and the chariot and the horses have become one. A slight touch on the rein will make the horses move. That synchronization between the horses and the charioteer is there. Ours is totally different. We say we want to meditate, and the senses say, let me see how you meditate. You close your eyes, and inside the whole movie begins. Where's the control? Physically, you have closed the eyes. Internally, the movie is on. See? So when all the 5 horses through the reins are merging into one intellect, and that intellect is powerful, then the chariot will not run in different directions, it will not topple over, and in fact, that chariot will move in one direction in harmony, with all the horses in harmony. And it will reach the destination the fastest. With that, we came to the 9th verse. Vijnana sarat thiryastu mana pragrahavan sodhvana paramapnoti tad vishno paramam padam. This we saw last week. I think we saw the bhashya also. And here it is told, Vijnana Sarathiryastu. I have already answered that, but here we will say it again. Vijnana Sarathiryastu. He who, Yahatu, he who has the intelligence as his charioteer. Vijnana Sarathihi. Manapragrahavan naraha, and whose mind acts, manapragraha, the mind acts as the reins, he reaches the final destination, paramam padam, of the path, which is the supreme state of God, which is the divinity, which is the Hiranyagarbha. or which is Parabrahma Paramatma, whichever way you take it. So dvana parama apnoti tad Vishnu paramam padam. So in the next verse, the Yamaraj is going to tell further steps to go beyond Sagun Brahma to Nirgun Brahman in the next verse. So here we'll take it till to Sagun Brahma. Sagun Brahma is Hiranyagarbha. What is that? Sagun Brahma? Sagun Brahma is the reality with attributes. What is Sagun Brahma? Sagun Brahma is water with total form. What is water with total form? Ocean. What is water with individual form? Wave. For wave, what is Hiranyagarbha? From wave's point of view, what is Hiranyagarbha? What is God for it? The total form. What is the total form? Ocean. This is the limit of thinking. This is the limit of thinking. See? So Vijnana Sarathiryastu Mana Pragrahavan Naraha Sodhvana Paramapnoti Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam. So here it is told that when we say the senses have to be controlled, senses have to be directed, there is nothing wrong with the senses. It's a natural phenomena, isn't it? Everyone is having senses, everyone is having mind, everyone is having intellect, everyone is having a body. There's nothing wrong with it. Only thing is they have not been directed properly. And to direct them properly, we have to exercise, not even invoke, we have to exercise the intelligence, little bit of common sense, that's all. And when it is, when the senses are not directed properly, then they become the cause of the downfall. You all have directed it properly, so you have come to the satsang. Others, they are watching cinema, they have gone for pub crawl, they have gone to restaurants, they have gone to movies. And then after that, they will take some idea from there, from those movies, or some untoward experience in some of those places. Because some experience will always happen. And they will keep ruminating over it. Or if you have to ruminate, why don't you ruminate over the Lord? Why don't you ruminate over the divinity that you essentially are? Why you have to ruminate on anything of this world? Because the more you think of this world, the more the world will demand your attention. The more world demands your attention, the more distracted you become. And remember, single-pointed attention is the way to open all the doors to the divinity, isn't it? Not Moda, Kshipta, Vikshipta and Niruddhamana. Not dull mind, agitated or restless mind, or distracted mind, or no mind. All these four conditions are disqualified. Only Ekagramana. And how will, if we are talking about Ekagra Mana, meaning the reins of the reins, they have to be all taut. How will they be taut? How will they not be loose? How will they not be moving this way or that by the strength of the horses? Only if the intellect is strong. So invoke your intelligence, Baba. Discriminate, discriminate, discriminate. See, Nothing is evil. Nothing is bad. No thing is bad. A book is not bad. Vedanta is not bad. But when that Vedanta is given by Hiranyakashipu, it becomes bad. it gathers wrong meaning. Spirituality is not bad, but under the influence of alcohol, when you start talking about a spirituality, then it's a big problem, isn't it? Similarly, no thing, the objects, the senses, there is no problem. Let them do their job. But when they start doing someone else's job, when we start doing someone else's job, when we start copying someone, when we start copying pasting other people's actions or habits or ideas into our life without being true to ourselves, just because we are fascinated or influenced by that person. This happens, isn't it? Then we are going the wrong way. Then we go the wrong way. Just as everything in our life, just like I gave this example, I think I gave it last week. A garden looks nice. You can walk through it, you can enjoy every flower, every plant, you can feel it, you got a pathway, you got a flower bed, all the plants are chosen and specifically put in various places. Throughout the year, you have planted the plants in such a way that throughout the year your garden is flowering. It sounds very nice, and when you move through the garden, you can move without getting scratched or hurt or getting dirty. But all those plants are available in the jungle also. But there what will happen? No, I like wild. Go to the wilderness. Go to the wilderness. I want to be with nature. Go in the jungle to be with nature. First thing that will grasp you is fear. No people around. Where am I going to get my next meal from? See, today we went to someone has passed away, and we had gone to put the ashes in the river. And there is a small ceremony, 10 minutes, 15 minute ceremony. And the man who was supposed to take the ashes to the river, you can't wear shoes and go to the river. So there was a shed in the park. So he said, leave the shoes there. More than being interested in taking the ashes to the river, he was more worried about his expensive shoes being stolen. Think, are we like that? This is a very stark example. This is a very stark example because just now it happened. But doesn't it happen to us? Involuntarily we are doing these things. These type of attitudes we are exercising in our life. So where was the mind supposed to be? On Asthi Visarjan. But where was the mind? On the shoes. Where is your mind supposed to be right now? On Shravanam. And what? The senses are listening. Here, ears are listening. But where should your attention be? On what the words are indicating. But if we keep thinking about what we have heard and it triggers some memory and takes you in some other imagination, or it brings you, oh, my grandchild also asked me this question, lost the whole plot. See? So senses are not a problem. But the senses, the mind and the intellect, they have to be synchronized. They have to be integrated. And they can be integrated. The gross cannot synchronize with the subtle. It is the subtlest which can integrate with the subtle and the gross. So you have to go back to the cause. Cause is the intellect. So let intellect reform itself. And the moment it reforms itself, automatically the mind and the senses, because the nature of the sense is to go outwards. Mind has got it is only a connection between the senses and the intellect. Like the reins. It has got no free will. Ayaram Gayaram. One horse pulls this way, the rein will go that way. The other horse pulls this way, the mind will go that way. So how does it remain in its place? Because of your conviction, because of your discrimination. Is it strong enough to keep the mind in check? If the mind is in check, automatically the senses will be in check. You don't have to worry about the senses. Why we are not able to achieve things in our life is because our conviction is weak. When our conviction is weak, our energies are leaking. Meaning, mind is energy. It is leaking through the senses. Ye khaun ke wo khaun. Go after this, go after that, go after that, go after this. This tea is good, that ice cream is good. That lecture is good, that teacher is good, that God is good, that religion is good or bad. We keep running, keep shunting around. We are not convinced of any damn thing in our life. How can we be? We have never practiced. We have never practiced. So, how do you conserve this energy from leaking through the senses out into the world? Which is the problem that we all are facing. How? We have to focus them, we have to concentrate them in one place. And where do we concentrate? Can the senses concentrate? That is if you try to concentrate your eyes, that is called tratak, on some dot or some flame or on the rising or the setting sun or on the full moon, after some time you will start getting a headache. You focus on the breath, after some time you will become breathless. Best way is, if you force your mind, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, or Om, 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 forcefully, again there will be a headache. But if your intellect comes to a proper assessment with this understanding of the chariot and says, yep, I need to be in control of the senses, the mind and the body. I need this body to reach the destination. I will choose the destination. Yes, small destinations in the physical world I have achieved. But I want the ultimate destination. Discriminate and come to that. What is that? The reality, the Hiranyagarbha, the God principle, the Ishvara, whatever. word you want to use. Then be focused with love, with surrender, with understanding. It's not because we have said it, it's not because only Upanishad is saying it. That is, yes, it is an authority when Upanishad is saying it. But merely Upanishad saying, but you not getting convinced is not going to change the direction of your intellect. We have to be convinced of our own accord. Through proper assessment, all these triggers which are given in the Upanishads, we look at them, assess in our life. While listening, you don't even have to visit it again. Even while listening, assess your life, come to the correct conviction, assessment of yourself that yes, if my goal of life is to realize the self, or if my goal of life is to be one with the Lord, one with the divinity, if my goal of life is that the individual must merge into the total, then the minimum requirement is focus. The minimum requirement is the charioteer has to be strong. The intellect has to be strong. And how will intellect become strong? When it thinks about the strong principle. So who is the strongest? Think about that, my fellow. Think about Ishvara. Think about Hiranyagarbha. The intellect directly proportional to that. Directly relaxed intensity with a cool-headed mind, assess yourself, come to this correct conviction that the strength of my intellect will determine which way my life goes or what I want out of my life. As you think, so you become. That is the rule. Have we ever weaned ourselves away from all the roles that we are playing in our life to ever even think, even in pastime, that maybe by nature I am divinity? that the divine is expressing through me? And if divine is expressing through me, what will be the take of the divine when it looks at the whole world, which is made out of the material called divinity? What would be the take? How will it interact? The way that fellow up there or in there interacts, that totality interacts with everything that is included in it, that disposition should be mine also. Then why am I seeing so much variety? If divinity is experiencing divinity, then if I am of the nature of divinity, why am I experiencing variety? Something going wrong somewhere. These conclusions, yes, you can hear, you are listening to me, but they must come to you when you are contemplating. See? So where is the error then? The error is I am still obsessed with the variety. I am not obsessed with the divinity. Our interest in divinity is only feel good, while maintaining the reality of the variety. A little horripilation here, a little bit tears from the eyes, little bit standing off the hair on the skin, little bit energy vibration in the body. I think I'm moving somewhere. Our attention is still on the world of variety. So, what is required once we get convinced of this, that what would be the vision of the divine? If Hiranyagarbha is that state which is inclusive of everything, it is the upadan and the nimitta karan of everything, it is the material cause of the whole creation and the creator of the whole creation, that is the Hiranyagarbha. How do I get there? I have to focus my mind. I have to concentrate my mind. From manyness, I have to move to oneness. That's the only way. That is the only way. And you discover new ways how, while doing everything in your life which is taking place, you are not doing, it is happening. Everything is happening. I gave this example a few weeks in some other class. Hunger is happening, batting of the eyelid is happening, vomiting happens, hunger happens, breathing happens, moving of the blood happens, blood pressure happens, waking dream, sleep happens. And we are saying that we have to run our life. Everything that is happening in our life is also happening. Trust. At the right time, sleep comes. At the right time, waking happens. At the right time, hunger comes. At the right time, pressure comes. At the right time, hiccup comes. At the right time, sneeze comes. Everything happens at the right time. Just unnecessarily sneeze never comes. Only if there is some irritation, then only it will come. Or something is blocking, then the hiccup comes or the vomiting comes or whatever. Everything happens at the right time, in the right moment. Trust. Everything that is happening in our life is happening at the right time. Yes, everything is happening. Then why am I trying to take control of the outside? That is also only extension of the inside. Oh, that means everything is happening. Then what should I do? Shri Ram, Jai Ram. Om. Chant Om. Be focused. Or be inquisitive. Who is the one who is making everything happen? Be inquisitive. What is that principle? What is that power? What is that which is making everything happen? Be fascinated by it. Be attracted by it. Have a deep urge to know that fellow. To know that principle. Which can grant you this vision once and for all that everything is happening, nothing I am doing. For that, a little bit of focus is required. You have to fall in love. To have a family, you have to fall in love with each other. To nourish the child, you have to fall in love with the child. To take care of family, you have to fall in love with your family. But have they been able to give you a lasting happiness? If this assessment has not been done, then very difficult to become focused. So shift your attention. Be obsessed by the divine principle. Who is this? What is this? Where is this? Who's making everything happen? And how come I have been hoodwinked for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years? I have been hoodwinked. into believing that I am doing, I made my life, I am breathing, I am successful, or I am a failure, or I am a father, or I am a mother, or I am the provider for the family, or I am keeping the family together. All this is wrong conclusion. Who is this? Who is taking care of everything and everyone? And how is he taking care of everything and everyone? By being in the heart of everything and everyone. See, it was told before, isn't it? When the topic of Hiranyagar came, that time it was told. By being in the heart. Oh, I have been fooled. He is right in my heart and I have been looking outside for him. Outside is variety. Inside is unity. Consciously shift the attention. Invoke your intelligence. Enough. Enough of thinking about the world. Enough of thinking about the past and future. Enough of thinking of survival. Enough of accumulation. Enough of everything. Now only one thing. A prayer coming from the depths of your heart that, oh Lord, oh God, please guide me towards you. But it should be genuine, not because you read it somewhere, not because you want a memorandum of understanding with him, that I will think about you and you satisfy all my desires in the outside world. Let my children be successful, let my grandchildren be successful, let my investments be successful. Where is your attention? Attention is still on the variety. You are using the divinity to satisfy your variety. Remember, if you keep chanting Om and your attention is on the world, you will become successful in the world, no doubt. But it has its own consequences, because nothing in this world can give you lasting happiness. So if you are successful, yes, very good. Now what's the next frontier? The outside world you have conquered. You have the money, you have the friends, you have the relationships, you have the cars, you have the houses. What next? I can't take all that with me anywhere. Then what next? When our basic needs are satisfied, automatically the next question comes, what next? Someone was telling me today when we were driving back that if I go to Vaikunt also, there also I'll go and ask, what next? Here, one project finishes, what next? Next project. So while our mind is still healthy, while our senses are still healthy, while our body is still healthy, little bit ailments are there for everyone, but still you are, compared to many people, you are still very healthy. Use it, direct it towards the divine. Use it for his purpose. Put them all into one single track. Let the senses be contemplating on the divinity. Let the breath be working for the divinity. Let the mind be meditating on the divinity. Intellect be contemplating on the divinity. Find that knack within yourself. Once you start a little bit, he helps. It gets invoked automatically. Then don't sabotage it. Oh, I think I'm becoming too spiritual. I need to have balance in this world and the spiritual. That is a defeatist conclusion. Defeatist. Committing a sabotage, daylight sabotage, in front of in yourself, by yourself, committing suicide every moment. And when we start thinking about the divinity, it is called focus. Focus is called dharana. Dharana leads to dhyan. Dhyan leads to samadhi. Samadhi leads to sahaj samadhi. Nirvikalpa and then sahaj samadhi. These are the stages. Our point, we want straight away samadhi. अरे साला पहला कौन करेगा यार? धारणा कौन करेगा? Who will do dharana first? The stages of dhyan and samadhi and sahaj samadhi are consequences of dharana. Our goal is, our effort is only to go to bring about dharana again and again. Dharana means bringing our focus on the divinity again and again and again and again and again and again. It automatically, till here is our focus. It automatically, when it matures, dharana matures, automatically it transforms into dhyan. When dhyan matures, it automatically takes you into samadhi. But we want samadhi, we want dhyan. Stupid. This type of language is avijnanavan. He wants to eat the 8th chapati because why should I put effort in eating 7 first? I'll eat the 8th first. But doesn't realize that the 8th one is the first one if he eats that one first. We are like that. We want straight away the samadhi. And all we have done is create a big halagula in our mind. Because mind was not ready for meditation. And we want to do meditation. But don't they say meditation is important? Don't they say this is important? Don't they say that is important? Doesn't Bhagavad Gita talk about dhyana yoga, this, that? But it also talks about karmanyeva adhikaraste. It also talks about the attitude. It also talks about the change in vision. Who will practice all that? The resultant is dhyana. Then as this senses, mind and intellect are God-oriented, are become focused. Remember, what becomes focused? The senses, mind and the intellect. Focused on what? Divinity. Is the senses, mind and the intellect the master of the chariot? No, they are only equipments, isn't it? The master is someone else. He's the Jivatma, he's the soul. As long as the soul means he's thinking, he's the body. Body means intellect, mind and senses automatically come into play. So what, if you're thinking yourself to be the body, what is the ultimate you can think of? Who is that? Who is the master of all the senses and all the mind and all the intellects and all the bodies? That is God. And that is called God realization. Om Sahasrashira Shaha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapad Sabhumim Vishwato Vritva Atyatishthad Dashangulam Purusha evedagam sarvam yad bhutam yaccha bhavyam utamrutatvasya shanaha. And it goes on, the glory. What is the vision of the divine? Sahasra Shirsha Purusha. He is the one who is this God principle? The Hiranyagarbha. He is the one who expresses behind through all the heads, through all the eyes, through all the senses, through all the minds, through all the intellects, through all the feet, through all the hands. At least come to this point, because that God and you in essence are not separate. He is Atyatishtat Dashangulam. You have to contemplate on him. Without contemplation, only wishful thinking is not going to bring it about. That's the lazy man's way. That also we don't know how to become completely lazy. Completely lazy, maybe it is possible. That also not. We are mediocre. Mediocre means vikshipta, distracted personalities, never able to focus on anything continuously enough. Vijnanasarathiryasthu manapragrahavaन् naraha sodhvana paramapnoti tad Vishnu paramam padam. This is Vishnu, the one, the all-pervasive one. Wish. I just asked Radhikananda ji here in Sydney. I said, tell me, what does Vishnu mean? We just came back from the Asti Visarjan. After shower and all, I was just reading the Bhashya. I said, okay, I told you last week I will explain what is Vishnu. I don't know anything. So I asked her, tell me what is Vishnu. And suddenly she looked at this and looked at that. Satsang began for 15 minutes. We had a wonderful satsang. Shankaracharya says, wish means to enter. He who has entered into everything after creating it. So says Taittiriya Upanishad. I created everything and then I entered everything. The one who entered everything and the one who created everything, he is Vishnu. Another way of looking at it, whatever has been created, when it dies, everything that has come into existence dies. It comes with an expiry date. After expiry, where it enters into Vishnu because it came from there. See? Another meaning of Vishnu is the all-pervasive one. So what came out of the Vishnu? The Vishwa came out of the Vishnu. Vishwa means the world. But we are not ready to look at the Vishwa. We don't have the eye to look at the Vishwa, the world, as divine. So we have to tell you, Vishwa is made out of wish. It is poison. Oh my God. Then what to do? You touch anything in this world, you will burn. You will get identified. Dhyayato vishayan pumsan sangastaeshu upajayate. Anything that you think about, you get attached. Whatever you get attached, you got desire. Poison starts spreading. Desire is poison. Why we have you to use this language? Because you are not ready to accept that everything is divine. You look at everything only as a bhogya vastu. How I can enjoy anything. Even God You want to remember because it gives you horripulations, it gives you ecstasy, it gives you meditation. Therefore, you want to interact with the Lord because you get some experience. You're not contemplating on the Lord or thinking about the Lord because He is all that there is. If there was no experience taking place in your body, breath, mind, intellect, I don't think you will ever contemplate on the Lord. You won't come for Vedic chanting. Nothing is happening, no energy is moving, I'm not feeling. Chhod do yaar. I've been doing japa for last 5 years, nothing is happening. What should happen? Nothing should happen. But you want experience. Why? We have made him into a bhogya vastu. We have made him into a object of enjoyment. Because contemplating on the divine gives me a greater experience of joy, ecstasy, which no object in this world is able to give me. Therefore, I want to think about the divine. Wrong. At least begin like this. If that is also working, at least begin and keep listening to the satsangs. Somewhere the shift will come. So don't make God into an enjoyable thing. He is all that there is. And He is expressing through you. So what does that conclude? That you are not separate to Him. If you are not separate to Him, how come your experience of the world is other than His experience? If He is seeing unity everywhere, if He is seeing Himself everywhere, how come you are not seeing the self everywhere? Why you are still seeing the variety? Something to contemplate. So now it is told, how do we, in the next verse, where are we? One moment. Ah, 10th verse. Now he says in the Sambandha Bhashya, Adhuna yat padam gantavyam tasya indriyani sthulani arabhya sukshma taratamya kramena pratyagaatmataya adhigamaha kartavya iti evam arthamidam arabhyate. Now, adhuna yat padam gantavyam tasya indriyani sthulani. So, to attain that Paramapad, to come to that, remember 9th verse it says, So dhvana parama apnoti tad vishnoho paramam padam. To attain that paramam padam, to gain that abidance in that reality, we have to begin from where we are. Where are we? Okay, we give you the benefit of the doubt. We begin from senses because we are looking at the chariot. We can't begin from the world outside. Why? It's not in your control. Do you say that I am the world? No. Then where do you begin from? You begin from your senses. You say these are my senses. Then you say this is my breath. Then you say this is my mind. Then you say this is my intellect. Then you say I am the soul. Or I am the waker, dreamer, sleeper. Then I am the soul, or I am the witness. And it goes on, depending upon where you are, how purified you are. So here he says that now that this Paramapada, it is not to be gained. It is already praptavya. It is already gained. It is already gained. So we begin from the Indriya, and From there, we move to subtler and subtler and subtler aspects of our personality, and by comparing the gross to the subtle, from subtle to the subtlest, and then subtlest to the causal, from causal to the transcendental. This way, we'll keep comparing and going to the core, to the Paramapada, by recognizing all this. And then we will come to know the Pratyagatma, Taratamya Kramena. By this analysis of gross to subtle and causal and transcendental, we'll come to the Pratyagatmataya Adhigamaha. We'll move towards the Pratyagatma, that which is the immediate self, the immediate consciousness that we are. And this is the way we'll be moving, and we should move in that direction. Not only we are moving, we should move in that direction. And for that purpose, so here it says, Adhikamaha Kartavya. This is our duty. We must move in that direction. And towards this, iti evam artham idam arabhyate. To explain this conscious journey from senses to inwards, to our Pratyagatma, to our immediate self, that is going to be indicated in the next verse. In next two verses, not just next verse, in the 10th and the 11th verse. So let's read. Indriyebhya parayartha, Indriyebhya parayartha, Arthebhyascha param manaha, Arthebhyascha param manaha, Manasastu para buddhihi, Manasastu para buddhihi, Buddhiratma mahan paraha, Buddhiratma mahan paraha. Together, Indriyebhya parayartha, Arthebhyascha param manaha, Manasastu para buddhihi, Buddhiratma mahan paraha. Simple. You all have heard it, but never practiced it. Why only I should say you, me included? The reason I keep using the word you, I'm looking at my mind also as you. I'm telling him. So here he says, where are we in the Bhashya? Here he says, Indriyebhya parahyartha, parahi artha. Artha means the objects. He is indeed. Para means higher. Indriyebhya is the plural. So, objects are higher. Objects, arthaha. Objects are higher than the senses. And arthebhyascha param manaha. And the mind is arthebhyascha. And cha arthebhyaha manaha param. Meaning, and the mind is higher than the sense objects. So why it is called that the sense objects are higher than the senses? Because they are at the mercy of the sense objects. Eyes are continuously running after colors and forms. Ears are continuously running after the sounds. Nose is continuously running after smell. Tongue after taste. And so on. They are dependent. The senses are dependent, hopelessly dependent on their fields of interaction, isn't it? Have the senses ever made the decision, yaar bahut ho gaya dekhna, I don't want to see anymore? Have they ever said? in last, whatever your age here who are listening, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, have the senses ever one day said, okay, today I don't want to hear, see, touch, feel, taste? Have they ever said that? Their job is to see. They are hopelessly doing what they are supposed to be doing. Can you do anything about the objects of the world? I think the problem for my eyes is all the colors and forms. I'm going to destroy all the colors and forms, then my eyes will not have anything to see. Try. I will destroy all the sounds, then my ears, they are naturally open, but there will be nowhere to hear. For that, people go to Himalayas, they have soundproof walls in their rooms. Still the sound doesn't go. Then they start hearing the gas inside. If the outside source is not there, inside source starts disturbing them. Then the sound of the breath disturbs them. Then the sound of the heartbeat disturbs them. It's also a sound. See? So senses are hopelessly addicted to their field of engagement. That is the sensory world, the sense objects. So, who is powerful? Senses or the sense objects? If sense objects are holding sway over the sense organs, then naturally they are more powerful, isn't it? Then it is told, Arthebhyascha param manaha. Higher than the sense objects is the mind. Mind doesn't need only sense objects. You know why? You know why? It doesn't need the gross, seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting. The color, form, sounds, the outside world it does not need. Why? It can create one inside itself only. So, he creates, the mind is able to use the subtle senses and create a world and dwell in it, called imagination or dream. It doesn't need the outside world. Therefore, mind is higher than the sensory world, sense objects. You have to think only in this order. There is no other order. Indriyebhya parahyartha arthebhyascha param manaha manasastu para buddhihi buddhiratma mahan paraha. So, if we understood sense objects are higher than the senses and mind is higher than the sense objects. Now second line says manasastu para buddhi. There is something higher than mind, and that is intellect. That is intellect. It is. I'll explain to you in another way also, but at the moment let's just go according to this. And the intellect is higher than the mind, and para buddhi, buddher atma mahan paraha, and greater, higher, transcendental than buddhi is atma. Which one? Mahan atma. Mahan atma is the supreme soul. Supreme soul is the Ishvara, the God principle. Who are you? The Chota Atma. Who is God? The Bada Atma. Like people say, when I go with Swamiji, some of them, Bada Swami, Chota Swami. So for us, we are the individual soul and he is the total soul. We are the individual self, he is the total self. Who? The God, the Hiranyagarbha. Now, understand in another way. Senses are located only in this face, or the skin is pervading the whole body, no doubt. We are talking about greater. Here the word is para. Para means greater. Greater means that which is more pervasive. Understand this word. Para means that which is higher, means that which is more pervasive. Another word for it is subtler, if you want to use it. Now, these five senses are only here. How pervasive are the objects of the world for each of the senses? It's endless in their scope, isn't it? Therefore, they are greater. What about mind? Is mind more pervasive than the physical universe? Is mind more pervasive than the physical universe? Yes. Mind can move in this universe, or it can move in the internal universe called the dream universe. It can recreate even more fantastically within itself. In the physical universe, you can only move a certain distance. In the imaginary universe, you can go from one lifetime to another lifetime, from one loka to another loka, from anywhere you can travel. It's all depending on your imagination. So the mind is more pervasive than the physical universe. Senses are dependent on the physical universe. Therefore, physical universe, the objects, sense objects are more pervasive than the five senses. But the mind is more pervasive than the sense objects, because not only can it move around in this world, but it also can imagine everything within itself. It can move into past, it can move into future, it can move into, it can create new imaginations. Greater than, higher than, more pervasive than the mind is intellect. Why? Because this is the seat of intelligence. This is the seat of faith. Intellect is the place where is more pervasive than the mind. Intellect is more pervasive than the mind. It can control the mind, or it can let go of the mind. If it tells the mind go there, it will go there. If it tells the mind don't go there, the mind will not go there. So if mind has to listen to the intellect, can the mind make decisions? No. Can the intellect make decisions? Yes. What is fear? Fear is a conviction. A wrong conviction, but it is conviction. Obsession, it is a conviction. Phobia, it is a conviction. I was born and I will die, conviction. Birth, death, conviction. These are my parents, conviction. Or faith, you can put it. No direct data. No direct experience. Only hearsay. But you have faith that if they are saying they are my parents, they have been taking care of me, there is enough data there, I think they are my parents. But no direct experience. that ability of intellect has to be encashed. If you can accept your parents whom you have never had experience of being born, why can't you accept God as the ultimate father, mother, who is the source of everything, who is the material of everything, who is the creator, who is playing with himself? Why don't you accept that? Because we are not thought about it enough. That's all. See? So intellect is subtler than the mind. Subtler than the intellect is the Atma, or what here? Mahan Paraha. Mahan Paraha, the great soul. So here we are not talking about the Atmic self, we are talking about the total self. The individual, you, me, everyone, we are how I am Atma, I am all pervasive, I am infinite, I am deathless. I accept, but it's not becoming my experience. How will I get this experience? And therefore we stop our sadhana. And therefore alamban is required. A support is required. Because you are not ready to accept that you are the source of the whole creation. You are not ready to accept you are the source of the whole creation. The whole creation has come out of you, is existing in you, and is merging back into you. You are not ready to accept. So we have to create what? The great soul, the total self. Because we are addicted to objectivity. We want to experience the self. We are not ready to accept that we are the self without a thought. We are the source. So, in this journey, which is being how to go from gross to subtle to causal and to the transcendental, this is the path. Recognize. What is that? The sense objects are higher, more pervasive than the sense organs. Mind is higher and more pervasive than the sense objects. Intellect is more pervasive than the mind. Again, I will make one difference here. Mind can only recycle whatever data has come to it and create an internal world called the dream world. Intellect has the ability to think beyond the obvious. Intellect has the ability to contemplate, think, imagine, have faith of that which is beyond the obvious, which does not fall into the purview of seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting, remembering, projecting. That capacity is only in the intellect. And greater than the intellect is the great soul or the total self. Another way you want to say, when we come to the mind and intellect, mind is the objective world, objectivity, thoughts, idam. Idam cannot exist by itself. Idam is always many. But intellect is the place where aham vritti is reflected. Correct? Aham is always one. The body, breath, mind, senses, intellect are owned by whom? Can they all function without the I? Can any thought happen without the I? No, the I. So, what is beyond the intellect, the individual I, is the total I. What is that total I? Hiranyagarbha. This is the way of contemplation. Then here Bhashya says, what is the time? अभी भाष्य अगली बार लेंगे, हो गया. Next week from Melbourne. It's 8:59 already. We'll read the next verse also and then conclude in the 11th, because 10th and 11th are one thought. Mahata paramavyaktam, Mahata paramavyaktam, avyaktat purushah paraha, avyaktat purushah paraha, purushanna param kinchit, purushanna param kinchit, sa kashta sa paragatihi, sa kashta sa paragatihi. Together, mahata paramavyaktam, avyaktat purushah paraha, purushanna param kinchit, sa kashta sa paragatihi. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Just sit quietly for a moment. Hari Om.